won't let me be.
All right.
I'd like to call this public session of the school board, March 16th, to order at 7:08 p.m. and start off by welcoming everyone who is joining us via live stream tonight. The first thing on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on our agenda tonight is School Board Organization 2020-21. And in the light of current circumstances that are going on around the globe, certainly affecting us here and all the work that we are doing here and all the changes being made, I would ask if a board member would make a motion to postpone the school board reorganization until April 6th, the April 6th meeting, so that we can have continuity through this time frame.
Okay, so I will propose that we postpone the school board reorganization until April 6th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Vote passes 5-0-0. I'll turn the mic over to the board chair.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you, Ruben, and thank you to everyone who is joining us remotely. This is a brand new thing for us. Something that was in our communications plan to get done this year, and we're getting it done. So the next item on our agenda is public comments, and I have to ask if there's a mechanism in place for this inaugural live stream meeting.
We do currently have a live chat open. I guess the issue potentially would be that, you know, people are either going to reach out or they're not through that. And I don't know if there's a window that
Okay.
you would allow the comments or not.
Okay, thank you. At the end of the meeting, I guess we will entertain comments from the public. So then we will move on to our student representative report, and Patrick has joined us this evening. And I think I will hand over the mic.
Hello, all those watching tonight. For my report today, everyone is enjoying a nice vacation home
For the day.
for the day. I don't really have anything to report here other than I'm trying to spread the message of pick up the Chromebooks tomorrow. I'm probably gonna try signing mine out tonight. And yeah, that's about it.
Would you mind answering a question?
No problem.
What do you think about this remote learning? Are you excited about it?
Not really.
Why?
I don't know what's happening. I don't really know what the plan is right now, and I know other people feel that way. So I'm just a little worried of what we're going to be doing.
So I look forward to maybe hearing from you April 6th after a couple of weeks of this process. Maybe.
Yes.
I've got a question for you too.
What is your question?
So my question is, yeah, it's a lot of unknown for a lot of us. It's all very new territory for everyone here. But what's your hopes that, like, imagine kind of a best case scenario, what do you hope comes out of the remote learning?
I hope I still graduate this year.
Fair enough. Oh, no, elbow. Sorry. Oh.
I just hope that everything works out well and that we're able to do this smoothly.
Mhm.
And that everyone is able to do what they need to do.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Superintendent's report? Superintendent's report.
So I think that we all have those same questions. You know, we are in an unprecedented event, timeframe, the work we're doing right here. There's some excitement about this, but certainly just a significant amount of the unknown. And so it's a time like this where we're going to have to continue to increase communication and make sure that communication is timely and accurate and consistent. And so I will start off with the report that I have is that we've had a fair amount of communication over the weekend. Clearly, a lot has transpired since the Saturday when I first made the decision to move in this direction. That decision was made after speaking to individuals across the state, getting some intel from other states as well, and looking at some reports and trends that were online relative to the spread or the concept of what I think the state of New Hampshire wanted to do in order to reduce the spread. So many of us went forward and decided that this was an avenue that we thought was a proactive avenue. As it turned out, over this weekend, Governor Sununu, Commissioner Edelblu took that and made it happen across the entire state, actually with the exact same time frame that we had and several places around here had put into place. So it's certainly not a comfortable thing. We do think it's a necessity, and we are proud that we were proactive in our approach. I am also proud of the staff that we have here. And in setting the schedule up this past weekend, on Saturday after the announcements went out, before more communication was put out in a letter form, I met with 15 to 16 of the administrators in this district, from the elementary school, extracurriculars, as well as the high school, middle school. And we planned out what we thought was an appropriate approach to making sure that we had readiness to begin this process. And so we chose to take 3 days of preparation ahead of time, and then 2 days to monitor the launch. So staff here, they came in today. They were working together today. The key of this to work well is collaboration. I can say firsthand that in walking around, talking to people, seeing the work that they're doing, seeing the outcomes that already are taking place, I actually am very excited, and I think that much of what, it will be different, but much of what you experience, I think you'll enjoy. And I think that there will be high levels of learning. Learning is certainly going to look differently for different age groups, different subject matters. What will be in kindergarten and first grade is probably going to look a little bit different than what's happening in 9th and 10th grade. Obviously, the dependence on technology to a degree is different in those areas. Both the middle school, high school, and also the elementary schools all sent home some guidance today. Just basically, this is what we have right now. This is what we know. Telling people sometimes that they can come and pick up materials. So here, in the next 2 days, there are time frames that people can pick up Chromebooks and also make appointments to pick up other items. We do know that individuals, middle school students, high school students, might have some things that they left in their lockers that they might like to come and get, so we can arrange for that to happen. Instruments and so forth. At the elementary school, there will be a time, I believe the start time for that pickup will actually occur on Wednesday, and that will be a 9 to 5 time frame for that. Actually, Wednesday from 9 to 5 and Thursday from 9 to 12. There will be a couple days for that type of pickup over there at both Ringe Memorial School and the Jaffrey Grade School. We've been meeting with a variety of individuals. Certainly, one of our first meetings was to talk about food, how we were going to go about making sure that the food service was going to be intact, how we were going to do that. So we have a couple things actually happening with that. This Thursday, we will be having food pickup here at this school and also at Ringe Memorial School. And here at this school, it will be the easiest to happen at the um, the incoming and outgoing area of the middle school where that will take place. And it will be more obvious at the Ridge Memorial School where that is. And this is open to everyone, and we hope that people will take advantage of that. We are also at the same time in conversations with our bus company to talk about perhaps wider distribution and how we can do that to make sure that we're impacting more individuals. Simultaneously, we're also applying to the state or wish to apply to the state for a waiver to give us another layer or level of food service to both of our communities so that we can have, once again, a greater and less expensive for everyone involved distribution process and a consistent distribution process. Certainly we're working with our community, with groups that are in the community that have the community kitchen over here, or the food pantry, that is distributing food through the region here for people who sign up for that. So we'll be sending more information about that. We'll be sending more information about how individuals who might not have access to technology, or we'll certainly provide the technology, but the internet access. Comcast has given some information about what they will do in the area for people. So we'll be providing that information to people soon, probably tomorrow. And then, yes?
Ruby, can you tell us what food distribution, what's the target group, or who are we hoping to?
The target group is open for all students. And so it's at 9 o'clock in the morning at either location. Parents can come around in the car. It will be handed to them. It will be in bagged form. It would be actually 2 meals at the same time. It will be breakfast and lunch for that day.
Every day?
Every day, yes.
Not a week?
Not a week. It will be every day. So Monday, drive in, here you go. Tuesday, the same thing. Wednesday, the same thing. So you have something different or new every single day, both for breakfast and lunch, for however many of the learners are in that family.
Okay, thank you.
A lot is changing minute by minute. And so we're just trying to keep up with that. Communication has been certainly difficult to do today, to make sure that we're getting all the incoming information so that we can give the proper outgoing information. But again, I'm proud of the staff. They worked really hard today. I know they're coming in tomorrow as well. As they feel more ready for the implementation process, they will be able to move toward a remote environment where they can be planning and doing the work from home or from another location. And so once again, we'll be providing services and support for our teachers here all week long and into the future, but certainly a very concerted effort to make sure that this launches the best it possibly can. We appreciate everyone in the community who is having to go through all of this. This is new for everyone. This is not convenient. This is difficult, but we do hope, and we are planning for a good rollout of this and to continuously improve as we go through this process. Are there any questions or comments?
Are we gonna see the schedule tonight, or is that something we're just gonna have to wait for in the mail?
I don't have the schedule tonight. I have seen the middle school, high school work that is going on right now with the scheduling, but I don't have that with me tonight.
Okay.
But you will be getting communicated with shortly.
Thank you.
So, is it reasonable to expect that every student will know what's expected of them by the end of the week, or by Thursday, or is there some timetable that if I have a student at home, that I'm going to know what that student's going to be doing? What's the last date that I should hear something?
Well, the communication is going to be continuous, and teachers will be in contact with students. Actually, we have a variety of individuals who are going to be in constant communication, and we're planning to do so. Weekly check-ins, so we have some of our staff making sure that they're getting information from parents and from students on a weekly basis as to how things are going. So it's not necessarily just simply educationally related, but also how can we help? Is your technology working? Can we help provide you with better technology or something that's working? All of those sorts of things that are necessary even to get the learning going on and maintaining that. And so to answer your question more concretely, everyone should know the schedule and what is initially expected of them anyway, no later than this Thursday, but I would think that as tomorrow passes on and then Wednesday for certain, that the majority of individuals would have an understanding of at least the opening of what to expect. Certainly, because if I look at the schedule for materials pickup at the elementary schools, some of it being Thursday from 9 to 12, which is the day we're starting, individuals would find out more information on that date as opposed to prior to. But the pickup and distribution of materials for elementary starts on Wednesday, the day before, but also for the high school is starting tomorrow and throughout, well, however long people need to, but there are set times for tomorrow and the next day.
So there's information that's going to go to students through their email.
I believe actually one was sent today to the high school, middle school students by one of your administrators.
And then across the district, all parents will be receiving an email?
All parents received an email, and again, for those watching, whether it's you or whether you want to pass this along, if individuals are not receiving the communication, please make sure that you either contact Nick Handy, n.handy@sau47.org. He would be the one to be able to then pass it along to the right place to make certain that that gets added to the list. We have had a few people.
They might also want to check their junk mail to see if it went there.
Yes, we have had a few situations where people have checked their spam or whatever, and we've been in that area. Yes.
Just for redundancy's sake, in addition to whatever emails are sent out via, our office, the SAU office, or the individual schools, I'm working on trying to catalog all that stuff. So far, everything since Saturday that's come out from either a principal or from Ruben has been put on our Facebook page. And hopefully by tomorrow morning, I will have a page on the website devoted just to information that's been sent out, and it'll be broken down by school. And then we're also going to have a tab for certain resources. Like I already have something on there about how parents can navigate Google Classroom, for example. So we're trying to not only send out emails, but catalog them in multiple areas so that people can just get this information.
Great.
Thank you, then.
Thanks.
And yes, today, all parents were sent communication from their schools, and that will continue, and more communication will come from the central office tomorrow as well. We're trying to stagger it and not bombard, yes, at this point in time.
Do you think that the Facebook page is the best source to go to?
I think the Facebook page is a good source to go to. I think that once Nick had just talked about that landing page on the website, that will be dedicated solely to this type of communication right here and supports for the community. Once that is up, that will certainly be advertised and will be communicated, but that will be a place that people should have. Well, we'll give the link also in our communication, but that people should frequent. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ruben. I'd like to echo that. I sat in on a meeting this morning at Jeffrey Grade School with some of the JREA members and teachers, and Ruben and Charlie were there, but I have to say that I'm proud of how everyone is stepping up and going to work on this and getting it done and bringing their best to the table. It's really terrific to see.
Great.
Next, we have our consent agenda, and I do have a question if we should really have field trips on here.
So I do have some field trip information just to provide. so that you can make the decision whether or not to remove this from the consent agenda tonight. Carrie Swift, who is primarily in charge of the New York City, the Boston, the Museum of Fine Arts, those trips right there on May, June, late May, early June, mid-May. She has indicated that if this does get approved tonight, for instance, or if we choose to push it off and approve it at another time frame, that they can get their money back. These places have said you can be reimbursed if this isn't going to work. Right now, the only thing that she is working on is the payment for transportation. Sometimes we have a clause in there that says we pay kind of 3 weeks ahead of these items right here. So given this time frame, we have some communication and some conversation. We have some conversations that we need to have with other groups, but for the most part, the trip itself is, if we approve it and it can't happen, the money can be refunded. So it's not a very high risk. And if for whatever reason this does not last as long as what maybe some reports are indicating, then they would have the opportunity to have these experiences. So it's something to think about. That's correct.
So we have approved other field trips and trips in general, I'll say, that what is the status? I guess it leads me to ask, what is the status of those trips? So for example, the trip to Europe in April.
Right, so as of last Friday, I believe that trip, it's my understanding that trip will not happen this year. And they've made an arrangement with the company that they had contracted with to postpone that trip for a year. There's only one senior who had signed up for it, and so everyone seems to be happy with that solution. But just in general, I think it's got to be understood that just because we approve a trip, it has to be safe at the time the trip is scheduled.
And for other trips, not that they were happening anytime soon here, that Japan trip is the update. I think there were about 2 or 3 individuals who were interested, so they haven't met that capacity that they need. That was asked maybe a month ago at the board level here. And certainly we are not having any field trips going on at this time through this time frame.
I guess I will say, I hope our transportation company will work with us in terms of not charging us for. Right. Okay.
The other thing on there with the preschool playground, I did a little bit of an update of that. I just got it nearly an hour ago. So the budget transfer for the facilities in the amount of $30,445 to replace the RMS preschool playground. We have not actually chosen the avenue, which direction we wanted to take. We had to go back to find out exactly what it would take to enlarge the playground, how much it would take to enlarge the playground, could it be enlarged, etc. Fencing over at the RMS preschool area. And in order to allow for one of the other structures that was less expensive but bigger, they didn't give a more of a warranty other than a satisfaction warranty, and we would need to either hire someone else to put it into the ground, or we discussed the idea of having volunteers come and do it. So if we were to, and this is an estimate, we got estimates for all the work. It would increase it about 300 square feet from about 1,550 to about 1,850, I guess it was. So it increased a fairly decent size actually for an outside area. That it would, however, with an outside group coming in and doing it, it would be around $42,000, $43,000 to do that work, simply for the playground and all the grounds work that would need to be done. And if we took that 8,000, 9,000 off, it would be just a tad more than this right here for the other playground that would be put in. So we have to weigh, that one has a better warranty, it's put in, it fits in the the space that we have right now? Or do we enlarge the space, get the larger playground area, pay a little bit more, or 10,000 more if we want to have a professional organization put it in? Those are the choices right there.
Without the warranty.
It does not have the it does not, it only has a satisfactory warranty. They drop it off, you got it.
So this puts the money in place, whatever avenue.
That's right. This gets us pretty close to being there, which is either way. And so it's not specific to either of those. The facilities committee will likely have a conversation, weigh in on that, and provide a recommendation going forward. But I just wanted to update the board as to what we had so far. The other piece of it, because for those who weren't a part of board meetings and those who are watching, another piece of that was to find out how much perhaps it would cost also to make certain that we were replacing that ramp area. That ramp area is not included in that cost. And so, and I don't have the estimate on that yet.
So that's just a line item transfer, it's not an authorization.
It's just a line item transfer, not an authorization.
Thank you for that clarification.
February 28th needs to be removed.
Okay. Any other questions about the consent agenda? We have a motion to approve the consent agenda, everything except the February 28th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, John, for the motion. Thank you, Charlie, for the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes 5-0-0. February 28th? Meeting minutes? Motion to approve?
I move we approve the February 28th, 2020 non-public meeting minutes.
Thank you for the motion, Charlie.
Second.
Thank you, John, for the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So motion passes 3-0-2 with Patty and Marcia abstaining. Okay. Action items. Program of studies, middle school and high school. We had a presentation on the draft versions of these. Some things have been tightened up, which thank you very much to the administration. Any questions or discussion?
No? So I would make a motion that we approve it as presented.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion to approve both programs of studies as presented and a second from Marcia. All those, any discussion?
Just that you did get answers to our questions.
Oh, except for the one question that there wasn't an answer to it yet. Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I just want to thank the administration for bringing this to the forefront at this time. I think it was really well presented and very thorough.
And it allows scheduling to happen regardless of what state we're in right now.
It's really
Yeah, right.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0-0. We have two policies on tonight's agenda for first review. Policy ADC, prohibited substances, excuse me, which looks like it's revised in line with how we revised similar policy under students.
Yep, the J section.
I did have a question. It's dry in here. So we pretty much carry through prohibited substances everywhere. Until we get to the paragraph at the top of the second page. This is part of the print that's in black. We refer to tobacco products a couple of times.
Right.
So it's just a replace.
Well, there were some, speaking from the policy committee perspective, currently there are signs placed around the building facilities noting that there's no smoking. Those signs would become much longer if we were to add every prohibited substance to them. So rather than retrofit the signs, we left it as this. But I think that was one of our concerns, was the list above are all of the term prohibited substance includes illnesses. Charlie, do you recall that conversation, or? I mean, I think when we were going through the policy, we hit that point and felt as though tobacco products was very specific in terms of, and I guess the other thing is, where the other policy has particularly focuses on students, this is particularly focused on the public.
Right.
So,
Yeah, definitely the last sentence of the first page where it says signs shall be placed by the district in all buildings. Yeah, and it talks about the tobacco products. We said, okay, we've got that. We discussed a little bit about the increase. Yeah, and it talks about the tobacco products. We said, okay, we've got that. We discussed a little bit about the increase. It's still good to have that, the signs and the tobacco products. However, I am now rereading that top paragraph on page 2. It's the responsibility of the building principal or designee to initially enforce this policy by requesting that any person who is in violation of this policy immediately cease the use of tobacco products. I think those were supposed to go together, but I can see how they were, since there's different paragraphs, they could be apart, and then it makes sense that we would want to enlarge
Prohibited
prohibited substances, yeah. So that is something that I'll look at with Mr. Handy to see what language might be, and we can propose that back to the committee.
I would suggest maybe, given how old our no tobacco product signs are, they could stand to be refreshed and brightened. They're so faded and.
let's see if they have a budget.
It's in the book.
I would suggest that we could just, with the consensus of the board, make a change to that paragraph, the second reading.
Okay. That, we'll keep the signs the way they are, but it's the responsibility of the principals to enforce the policy, which is prohibited substances, not just tobacco products.
Okay, on page 2.
Great,
And that will go to second reading with that?
Yes.
Okay.
thank you. Public participation at board meetings. Well, one question I had was, it seems to allow criticism of the superintendent in public session.
That's a good idea. Oh, no, wait a second.
Wait a second. Complaints regarding the superintendent may be made either during public comment or directed to the school board chair. Of course, I didn't go read policy KEB, but
What was the rationale?
Well, I don't know, I mean, we had chatted about it very briefly, and I think that rather than taking it out, to have it be transparent to the entire board, consider that, as it is in some policies. And so, it was therefore that first reading to get feedback on and go back to the second reading, unless everything else is right, you wanted to strike some things out of that.
KEB, yes.
Ruben, why was that there in the first place? Is that,
It was language that was suggested by the NHSBA as possible language to use. Because some places
Okay.
do choose
Part of the,
to do that with certain people.
So in KEB, we say, if the superintendent is the subject of the complaint, the board shall determine whether the complaint should be heard in public or non-public session in accord with RSA 91A.3. The board may, to the extent is appropriate, advise the superintendent of the nature of the complaint and may give the superintendent an opportunity for explanation, comment, and presentation of the facts. So that seems to conflict a little bit.
Yes, it seems to me, I mean, that's a personnel issue, which is something that first comes to non-public. So it shouldn't be, it needs to go through the chair, then to the board, then to the superintendent.
Right, and so I think maybe you just take out the sentence, complaints regarding the superintendent shall be made in accordance with policy KEB.
what was the policy committee's feeling?
We did not have a lot of conversation on that.
Right, okay.
We also say, in the interest of preserving individual privacy and due process rights, the board requests that comments, parentheses, including complaints regarding individual employees other than the superintendent or individual students be directed to the superintendent in accord with it. Okay, so we refer everyone to KEB,
Chain of,
right, except for the superintendent.
right, that comes to chair.
But KEB is where you describe
How it happens.
how it happens.
Yeah.
So we don't want to remove the superintendent from that process.
No, not on that first part, but the, well, it should be protecting privacy of everyone.
so
It's
if
just
you,
two different processes.
Right,
If it's a
okay.
staff
Oh,
member or
I-
a student, it's one process, and if it's a superintendent, it's a different
I
process.
understand. I understand.
so if you take out the phrase may be made either during public comment or,
Yes.
it's just directed, it directs us to KEB, period.
I think this is a nice revision to this policy. Thank you. I mean, overall, the revisions to this policy.
Good job, Patty.
Hi, Alicia. I do think we're going back deep. We went through and we cataloged all of the policies and went back, and now we started with the ones that were most urgent, and now we're going back to the ones that are longest standing, and so these from 03, 04, and quite a number of them have had tremendous change in that time, or had no change. So we're going back and forth with the SBA to ensure that we're cohesive, but in some cases, the cut and paste isn't always great.
Patty's right, we should, very instrumental in making all these changes.
You shall learn a lot of it.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, all of you.
That's why we have first readings.
Okay, we have, next on the committee updates. And really, it would be about committee organization for this next fiscal year, and given that we postponed the organization of the board, I think we would also naturally postpone that also to the same time. So everyone can be thinking about what committees they would like to serve on, continue on, add.
Well, I, for one, I want to publicly congratulate John and Charlie for their successful elections. I can tell you the goals committee, which there would be one member, if they didn't get elected, is very grateful that they got elected. So thank you, Jeffrey and Randy, for that. Those were confidence in both of the gentlemen. Thank you.
If they didn't get elected, we'd have a 5-person board.
Possibly.
Oh, but I guess you could have write-ins.
We could.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
There's always.
We do plan to have a facilities committee meeting next Monday. And it will be at RMS at 1 o'clock. Any other comments about committees or?
Kind of liked.
There has been a lot of committee work done this past year, and I presume that will continue, but certainly the moment that we're in is throwing a lot of things up in the air and adding some new things to our plates.
So, Nick, do we have any questions or comments that you'd like to share from the public?
There doesn't seem to be any that have come up in my chat window. I suppose if anybody feels that they didn't get their question in whatever way, they can send it to me and we can try to have it addressed in some manner.
If that's the case, I do want to take a moment to thank the community, the public, the public in the voting that took place, not only for our board members here, but also for all the other warrant articles. I think that it shows a real strong commitment from the community, for our schools, for our children, and that's very important. We thank you so much.
All said.
Under board matters, I don't know if this actually fits there exactly, but I'm curious about the sign at the entrance to this campus, and wondering if there's any thoughts on at what point we might put out a sign there that we could use to add to our communication plan.
Yeah, we will.
Digital.
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly talked about that in the past years.
Sure.
We've talked about the desire for something digital, but also knowing that there are some constraints perhaps with that type of signage. We also were at one point saying, well, we really need to do some work with the parking lot area, and maybe we should do both simultaneously. And so we have not brought that topic up again. I think that certainly, and it actually is interesting that it didn't come up in the communication committee as one of those items that people focused on. I don't think we even really ever talked about it. Maybe it did. But we can certainly bring that back into the conversation at the facilities meeting and also as we talk about communication, improving that. Yeah, it's not a fantastic sign, and it certainly is cumbersome to fix, so.
And I presume that the prices are coming down, and it could still be a while before we redo the parking lot. So
Is there ordinances or something against?
Jeffrey has a pretty rigorous sign ordinance that does not allow for some forms of digital signage. We also have to be sensitive to the fact that we're somewhat residential.
Yeah.
we should be sensitive, I agree, yep. On the other hand, are we exempt from those ordinances as a district? I mean, I'm not suggesting we should flaunt them, but I would think even for the town, having a good communication strategy at the school would be a benefit.
Beneficial.
Yeah.
Temporarily, we could put the website address up.
Mhm.
You know, for more information about ongoing changes once that page is up.
Yeah, I mean, I can track down those letters and we can start, because the letters do exist somewhere in somebody's office. So I can track those down and start using them more regularly if that's something we wanted to start, whether it be directing people to the website or, you know, any other sort of message. So.
Thanks, Nick.
Any other board matters?
Yeah.
We have scheduled another school board meeting for a week from tonight.
Oh, Okay, I didn't know that, good.
Okay, and it is here.
I believe it is. Nick is here, correct? The 23rd, the board meeting on 23rd.
Next week?
Yes, next week.
Nobody gave me any information on that.
I have CHS, I'm on camera.
Okay,
I
Well,
did it.
it'll be
So-
here.
Yeah.
It'll be here because it was an added meeting.
So here, 7 o'clock, same time?
Do we need a non-public session beforehand?
I have it in that we will go to.
It probably would be good to keep things the same.
Okay, very
Keep
good.
it normal.
Okay, great.
Okay. Make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Marcia.
Second.
Thank you, Patty, for the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
We are adjourned.
Great.
Unanimous consent. Thank you very much.